This video is made possible by Napleton Subaru of Schaumburg. Visit their website in the description below for more information.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2023 Subaru Ascent Premium. Up front is a 2.4 liter turbocharged flat 4 and down below is a CVT. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Subaru Ascent for a couple of reasons. Mainly the fact that for 2023 they gave it a little bit of a facelift. So it looks a little different. However, it's still the same great car that I've come to know and love, and I'm excited to share that with you today. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpredel.com, where you can buy stickers and other merchandise when it becomes available. You can also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you would get a video of your car just like the one you're watching about this Subaru Ascent. And you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that flat 4 under the hood. Well, Subaru has trickled this engine down to most of its models. The Outback, the Legacy, the WRX all get this engine in one form or another. But this engine actually started out back here in the Subaru Ascent back in 2019 when this vehicle debuted. Here it makes 260 horsepower, getting this car 19 miles to the gallon in the city and 25 miles to the gallon on the highway. Now you have to remember this is a little 4-cylinder turbo piloting this giant car, so the fuel economy numbers aren't going to be fantastic. However, I think with the acceleration and power, I think it's actually a really strong power number for a vehicle in this segment. Makes more power than the Mazda CX-9, of which I most commonly compare this car to. Now, like I said, paired to it is a CVT, meaning continuously variable transmission, and all of Subaru's automatic transmissions are CVTs. Unless you get a Subaru BRZ or the new Solterra, if you buy an automatic Subaru, it's going to be a CVT. I've just learned to live with it. I personally don't love CVTs. I think they feel a little weird, but it's the way the world is going, and that's the way that Subaru does things. Last but not least, of course, the Ascent is all-wheel drive because all of the Ascents are all-wheel drive. All of the Foresters and Legacies and Outbacks and Crosstreks and WRXs, they're all all-wheel drive. But how does it actually feel to drive the Ascent? Well, it doesn't feel huge, but it does feel relatively big. Visibility is pretty good, of course, out the front. Out the back, you're not going to see much, but that's across the board for any 3-row SUV. Putting your foot into it, it definitely goes. You feel the 260 horsepower, which is very nice, but the engine does sound a little stressed out when you do floor it. So that is a downside of only having 4 cylinders in this big SUV. But with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 2 physical gauges and a screen. Off to the left is my tachometer and coolant temperature, and off to the right is my speedometer and fuel. As well as in the center, I do get a changeable screen. I'll show a couple different options here. It doesn't feel amazing. I wish it had a little bit more color to it, a little bit better design, a little bit more pizzazz to it, if you will. However, beggars can't be choosers. It's the same screen they use in pretty much every other Subaru on the market, so par for the course at this point. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my skip track source, information scroller, phone options, and volume, and off to the right, I have my cruise control options. This does have Subaru's EyeSight system, which in my opinion is a pretty good system. This is radar, cruise, blind spot monitoring, cross traffic alert, kind of all rolled into one name. The overall look and feel of the steering wheel is the same that you would find in pretty much any other Subaru on the market. And off to the left, I have a climate control vent, and then down below, I have my tailgate, dome light, and gauge dimmer switch. Moving onto the door, I have my lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows down below, as well as this sort of fake carbon fiber weave. Not really in love with that look, but you can swap that out. But moving into the center, this is sort of the talking piece of the interior of the Subaru Ascent. You get this giant screen. I love it and I hate it simultaneously, and let me tell you why. First of all, I really like the coloring of it. I think it's very easy to use. It works just like a smartphone. So pretty much anyone who's familiar with a phone will be able to use this infotainment system. And that's always a good thing. There's some vehicles that make it so complicated, I feel like I need 2 PhDs and 8 years of residency just to change the radio station. So it's very easy to use here. What I don't like is that there's a lot of climate controls. For instance, the heated seats. that are only run through the screen. There's no physical button for the heated seats. That really bothers me because if anything ever happens to the screen, I can't change my climate controls, and that's a big bummer. So I don't love that everything is run off the screen, but then again, look at Tesla, look at BMW, look at so many other manufacturers that are just moving towards screens because they're cheaper and easier. So it's sort of the way the world is going. Moving down below that, I do have a cubby as well as my aux in and 2 USB ports, 1 USB-C and 1 more traditional. Then we come to the shifter area. Off to the left is that automatic shifter. Again, the same one you'll find in pretty much every Subaru product on sale, and I like it. It's firm, it's confident, and that's what I look for in a shifter. I also do have a power parking brake, which has a giant button compared to other buttons in other vehicles. Find that kind of comedic. Then off to the right, I do have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2023 Subaru Ascent Premium. And unfortunately, just like the 2019 and 2021 that I tried, it does not fit the big friggin' bottle. Then I do get a center console, which the lid feels pretty heavy. I think it's just the hinges haven't really been used much. It has a little heavy feel to it, but nothing really exciting in there. And then we'll talk about the seats. Now, this is finished in the ivory interior, which is an option, which added to that MSRP you saw at the beginning of the video ever so slightly. But they are heated, and the driver's seat is power. However, the passenger seat is not. And I'm relatively comfortable. However, speaking of seats, we do have 2 more rows of seating. So let's go do some backseat reviews. All right, so we're in the back of the 2023 Subaru Ascent Premium, and a couple of things to note. First of all, this is a bench seat. Let me get my jacket out of here. This is a bench seat, as you're seeing now on the screen, and that is actually a pretty rare option for the Subaru Ascent. So you can either get it with captain's chairs or with this bench seat, but most people opt for the captain's chairs, meaning one on either side with an aisle in the middle. This actually has the bench seat, not only the bench seat, but it's finished in the ivory interior. So this is actually a pretty rare combo. So if you go to look for Subaru Ascents at your local dealer or at Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg, they might not have this center bench seat. So just so you're aware. But the seats themselves are kind of hard. I don't love them. Down here, I do have my own climate controls, as well as I have 2 USB chargers. And overall, it's not a bad back seat. My knees are not hitting the seat in front of me. My head is not hitting the ceiling. I'm 5'11" and not a small guy. However, we do have 1 more row. So let's hop into the 3rd row. All right, so now we're in the 3rd row of the Ascent. And for me, it's not great. My head is starting to hit the ceiling. These headrests don't go up that high, so they kind of dig into my mid-back. My knees are getting squished by the seat in front of me. Now, these are on rails, so I could move them forward, which would make life a lot easier, but it's not great. This car has a 3rd row, very, very usable 3rd row for kids, shorter people, whatever it might be. But honestly, I keep coming back to it. If you have a big family, please get a minivan. It makes life so much easier. Let's hop out. We'll check out the very back in cargo space, kind of where I'm currently sitting now, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the 2023 Subaru Ascent. I do have a button here on the key fob. Pull it up there. And once we are back here, of course, you'll see this is where I was sitting. And I do get a 12-volt outlet. Of course, some tie downs. I get this nice little light right here, as well as I can pull this up and get some more storage down below. I really, really like the rear cargo space. I think most Ascents will live their life with those seats down, just fully utilizing all of the space you can. However, if you need a 3rd row, you can get that, and I really, really like that. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is the biggest change for the Subaru Ascent in 2023. It has a more modern look. I think Subaru is trying to make their lineup sort of all uniform with the release of their new EV, the Solterra. The headlights sort of have this exaggerated, almost facial makeup. In my Solterra review, I said that it was trying to look like the 5th member of Kiss. Well, that's also true here in the Subaru Ascent. It has a sort of a gothic front end, which I think there are some positives too. I think it's a very modern looking SUV. I think they refreshed it well enough to get the Subaru Ascent through a couple more model years before they do a complete redesign. And I'm gonna be excited to see these on the road because I'll know, oh, that's a 2023 or newer. That's kind of fun. But now let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the 2023 Subaru Ascent Premium? Well, there's a specific reason why I wanted to drive the Premium. I was given the option of driving the Touring, which is the top trim. I wanted to drive the Premium because I think this is sort of the trim level that a lot of people are actually going to buy. Touring is nice, but it's a big chunk of change, so a lot of car buyers fall into this middle ground, and that's why I wanted to film this one. I think the features in here are pretty adequate. Again, you have to remember that Subaru's a little bit more rugged, so comparing it to the CX-9, the interior alone is going to feel a lot more refined, a lot more upscale, where this doesn't quite feel that way, but it is more rugged. Subarus are meant to take you places that most other automobiles probably can't. Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which they put into all of their vehicles, is spectacular. So really, this is a Subaru Forester with a third row and a little bit more cargo space. That's really how you have to think of this car. And when I put my mind into that headspace, it all makes sense. It has all the same touch points and feelings as the Forester, and yet it is bigger. If you have a family of 3, family of 4, well, this vehicle is going to be a lot better off for you than just the Forester. And I like that. I like when a brand has a strong identity. You know, that's part of the reason why I loved the Porsche Cayenne so much, because it felt like a big 4-door SUV Porsche 911. It had those strong family genes that I had come to know and love, just in a bigger body. And that's the same case here. I love Subarus. They're one of my favorite brands. And this really does feel like a bigger Forester, a hopped up Legacy, a more adult grown up Outback. And so if you're looking for a 3-row SUV, I would highly consider just taking a look at the Subaru Ascent. I think it has some really nice features. I think it has a really nice off-road prowess. And if you're into national parks, first of all, Subaru is one of the biggest supporters of national parks, which is fantastic to see. And I love national parks, so I thank Subaru as a corporation for that immensely. But if you just like getting out, adventuring, tossing a bike rack on the back, going on extended bike rides, mountain biking, things like that, I think this is definitely one of the more rugged SUVs that you can buy, and it's definitely ready for the job. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg for letting me take out their Subaru Ascent. I was so excited to get behind the wheel of this facelift of a vehicle I've reviewed several times on the channel, but I keep coming back to. They are absolutely awesome. They have a huge inventory. They have a very, very lovely staff, and I cannot say enough good things about them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.